Alright guys, welcome to Space Engineers! This is my latest creation that I'm working on, and it is a Gundam, as you can imagine by now. Now, I've been teasing about this a lot on Facebook, showing you guys my progress thus far from the helmet on down to what it is right now, and as you can imagine, it's not close to completion. I mean, that's only the helmet, and also the chest plate coming towards being about half done, but I've still got to work on the arms and legs and whatnot. So this is the Gundam. You know, a lot of things with Space Engineers is that you use spacecraft to fight each other, you know, the small fighters all the way on up to heavy cruisers, destroyers, carriers and whatnot. But why not try to go into like an alternate universe, like say Gundams, alright, the Gundam universe. I haven't followed the entire series, but the main premise behind it is that they're essentially giant mech warriors. But I have a feeling why a lot of people have been touching these things is because they're so sophisticated. You could imagine how much time it would take to actually make one that not only is just going to stand there and look at you, but to actually be functional. I've seen a few people make mechs that have rotatable arms and whatnot, but they're not great. What you want to do is to make this thing actually lifelike, so that it would have arms that could actually turn around, that can punch, and legs that can move, and the rest of the body moves. And I'm gonna go through you guys with my progress making this so far, but also with the sophisticated parts that are gonna be going into this thing. I'm gonna show you guys how we're gonna make this work, how this thing is gonna use a bit of space engineering to come to life. So let's go through my progress thus far. This is the helmet portion up here, and of the Gundam, and as you can see, it's got some lights inside, and yeah, nothing much more. It's just got lights, and that gives it a little bit of life when you look at it from afar. It almost makes the eyes look like they're, well, alive. There's a bit of glitches with the lights coming out the side, but I think that's something with Space Engineers right now, where the lights are actually going through walls. Hopefully that will get fixed. But the helmet is where I'm thinking to put the main cockpit, and the main cockpit is going to be where you control the actual, say, flying of the Gundam. You're not going to be doing any sort of attacking or movement with the legs. I think that's a bit beyond Space Engineers at the moment. With the limitations of Space Engineers, each component, each limb is going to have to be operated by an individual, and the way that I've thought about it so far is about 5, possibly 3. Alright, so you've got one in each arm, one in each leg, and then one in the helmet, one in the head. And I say 3 because if we took out the leg component, then we just have our arms and the head. But I'm thinking that the main pilot is going to go inside the helmet over here, inside the head, and then he's going to be operating the jets, the boosters, propulsion and whatnot, that's going to be moving this thing around space. Okay? And possibly also some cannons just on the shoulder pads right there. And that moves on to the next part with the chest piece. If you've got the neck connecting down to the chest piece, with on the shoulders you've got these cannons. These are probably going to have rockets inside of them. Down here, this is all just for effect to make it look like a Gundam, where you've got the direct chest piece with this sort of light bulb in the middle. And that just is typical of a Gundam. And then you've got these radiators on the side sort of thing. And that's just to make it look like a Gundam. Now, it looks great on the front. And this has taken me about 4 hours to make so far. You know, looking at a picture, then coming back into Space Engineers to recreate it. And it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of taking into proportion, trying to make things proportional and whatnot. But the front is my main concern right now. I think that's going to be the most difficult part. And with having done about 4 hours or so of work into this, I have just worked on the front. You look at this thing from the side and from the back, and there is like no work done at all. This is still a long way away from completion. I've got a lot to do. I'm working on the front first, but I think turning it into a 3D object and filling out the rest of the space, I don't think that will take too long. It's just getting these fine details first to actually make it look like a Gundam. Now, with Gundams, they all look a lot different. You have these different sort of arms and whatnot, and the arms have, say, different weapons attached to them, or sometimes even a shield. So, say for example, on the right arm, you'll have a gun attached, and it's a giant gun. You know what a Gundam's like. It has a giant gun attached to it. On the left arm, you'll have a shield attached, and these are things that I'm trying to actually incorporate. Now, when making a Gundam or a mech, it's actually a bit sophisticated because you want it to be sort of lifelike so that it actually moves around, that it actually does something. And from the previous examples of mechs that I've seen in the game that people have created, what they've essentially done is just made arms that just rotate up and down. But as you can imagine, just like as your arm moves in real life, it goes not only back and forwards, but it also goes laterally from the side up and down and whatnot, and that gives you a great degree of movement with your arms. So you can imagine you want to replicate that with your Gundam. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, I've actually set up a little demonstration of how this is going to work and how I'm going to apply this to the Gundam itself. So as you can see, you can imagine that this would look like an arm. It looks like an arm. You've got the shoulder up here, you've got it going down to, say, the bicep, tricep area, and then the forearms over here. I'm guessing we could add in hands, but I have a feeling that hands are going to be more of a design sort of style thing. Rather, the main concern of movement that you're trying to get is trying to move this arm forward but also to the side. And so this is the brilliance of space engineers and rotors. It's all possible to do right here, right now. It's just that it's very sophisticated. It takes a lot of time and effort to actually do. So as you can see with this setup, I've got this arm made here. We've got a rotor initially coming out from the stand, and this is gonna control the lateral movement. So to move it from down from the side, then up the side. Then we've also got another rotor attached to that one, and that's going to allow us to move the arm up and down as if we were raising the arm. Now when you go on to the next pivot area, which would essentially be the elbow, this allows us to extend the forearm forwards and whatnot. So essentially what we're doing is replicating a human arm. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get all axes of movement here, and what we've done is we've put our cockpit and main propulsion of the arm inside the forearm, because that is going to be what's moving the actual arm itself. Alright, so let's get inside the cockpit. I'm going to show you guys how this works. So let's say we just want to extend this thing forward. We can do that. And it's all by the brilliance of rotors that we can actually do this. So we've raised our arm up, as you can see, just like that. It's a little bit wonky, but we're getting on the side. But now what if we also want to raise it laterally? Can we do that? Well, yes we can. Let me just get this moving here. Oh dear, I think it's being a bit awkward. Just give me 1 second. We should just be moving it any moment now. I think it's just a bit weird controlling this thing. Here we go. I think we're starting to move on our side. Yeah, we're moving on our side. So as you can see, I think we probably need a bit more engines to do this, but as you can see, we're moving it up. Alright, see that great degree of movement? Now, what if we want to actually move this, like if we wanted to hold our arm out, sort of? Well, we can do that. All we have to do is we have to just keep on moving, just like this. But this is where we're going to reach the limitation of our arm, because we've designed it so it can't actually go past this point. But if you wanted to actually make it a bit better, all you'd have to do is, I don't know, just build it like this. Take away the insides like that. Take away the wall over here. And what this should do is allow you a great degree of movement. So now I should be able to not fully go all the way around like a 360, but as we are like replicating an arm, you're not going to be able to bend your arm like 360 around sort of thing, unless you're some sort of contortionist with elastic body parts or whatever. But this is going to allow us to actually move the arm up and to the side so we could hold it outwards, if you can imagine. So actually, let's try that. I was thinking maybe we wouldn't try it, but let's go inside the cockpit here, turn on our menus and whatnot. Let's see if this is actually going to work. I think one thing when you're actually using this is you're gonna have to learn how to pilot this properly, because of all these rotors going on, it's kind of hard to figure out how you're gonna hold this out. So there we go, we've come to a little bit of our limitation here, and it's just a quick design change that would make this all better. See, like if we go out like that, we get that out because it got a little bit stuck. Oh, I think it's actually getting stuck on this piece over here as well. So we need to remove this. Oh shit. Oh shit. I think it might not be connected, is it? Oh crap. Krebsy, what do you do? Hopefully that's still connected to each other. I hope so anyway. And now let's get inside the cockpit here. And so let's flip this around. We're gonna have to keep on pushing that way. Here we go, and I think it's gonna keep on turning. Is it still turning? I can't really tell. Okay, whatever, good enough. And now we want to rotate and hold ourselves out just over to the side here, as you can see. And this is gonna take all of our engines to do this, actually. Yeah. Wow. Talk about difficulty piloting this thing. I think it's gonna take a lot of effort. I think maybe I have to work on this a bit more to make it even easier to move around, but you get the idea. So you can actually hold this out to the side as if you're raising your arm up to the side. And I think if anything, all this really needs is just more engines to move it on forward from side to side or backing up, whatever, quicker. But because we've only got so many engines and this thing is probably relatively heavy, then it's just actually limiting itself a little bit. But there you go. So that's what we've got. We've replicated an arm. Now, what I'm thinking is actually going to be quite hard to do is replicating legs. We're going to have the same sort of pivot points inside the legs to make them move back and forth. But one of the hard things to do in Space Engineers is if you got your legs moving forward, it's hard to carry the rest of the body, say the top half of the body, with the legs. Now, I've already come up with some sort of ideas in my head how we're going to do that, but I've got to still test that, and I think I'm going to leave that for another video once I've actually progressed on this Gundam a bit more. But the general idea behind this is that you're going to have people in the arms and in the legs, and they're going to have their own operations of what to do. So you could imagine somebody with a gun, a giant gun attached to their arm. They'll be operating that, moving the arm, and also shooting with it. And say on the left hand side you would have a shield. On the left arm you would have a shield, and the person using that would be piloting that arm, moving it, so that you can bring the shield into an appropriate place, whether that's to the side or in front of the body, whatever it might be. And so you've got this cooperation to make this Gundam work and actually fight the enemy. Not you could put a gun in the right arm, whatever it might be, your offensive arm, but you could also put like not only a shield but like a sword, for example. You could use this as some sort of bashing offensive weapon. You could go up to another mech and just slice through it, you could imagine. And that's sort of stuff that I'm thinking about doing right now. But yeah, there you go, guys. That is what we've been working on so far. Mr. Gundam Wing over here. Mr. Gundam. A lot of work to be done, but I'm going to keep on doing it. And I'm going to show you guys my progress as we go along with it. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. And until the next episode, this is Krebsy, and I'll catch you guys later.